How's the lighting? Bright? Pretty bright.
Okay. There we go. Oh, there's Miguel. Hello, Miguel. Bienvenido. So I think it looks good. Carlos, what do you think?
Whenever you want, we're ready. Oh, I think so.
Maybe I'll do gallery view. Okay. Interesting. What on the TV you see what you have selected, right? So if you have me pinned, you'll just see me.
Yeah, and the rest of us in small bit windows on top of you.
Right.
I can show you. This is how you look.
There you go. Oh, I see me. Thank you. Oh, that's weird. It's kind of delayed.
Is that okay?
Whoa, that makes me kind of dizzy. Okay, well, I guess I will begin and welcome to Saladana Quasi-Virtual. I'm really happy that you're there. Next week, you will have a live teacher. Martina is going to lead the group next week. I don't even know where the heck I'm going to be next week, but it's also July 4th, which is a weird US holiday of celebrating getting away from those damn British. So I thought today I would continue to talk a little bit about some of the things that were imparted on my retreat last week. Some teachings from Martin Allward and also a little bit about the teachings from Suzuki Roshi and the Zen tradition, which basically are very, very similar. And yeah, we just kind of see where that leads, see if there's anything anybody else would like to add or comment on, share about. So yeah, why don't we meditate first? I think Miguel came and went because he may have thought it was in Spanish. I don't know. I was talking to him in Spanish, and then he said he wanted to join today. Let's see, what am I looking for? I'm looking for Insight Timer. There's Zeke. Hello, Zeke.
Hello. How are you, Jim?
I'm good. You know what? I don't like that closet you opened. I don't want you guys to see what's in my closet. There's a lot of skeletons in there. Okay, so we'll meditate for 30 minutes. Hopefully you can hear the bell. So as always, starting off with a comfortable posture. One where you feel grounded, embodied, maybe noticing the weight of your body, how Mother Earth holds us with just the right amount of gravity. Sometimes we can just kind of get that sense of being held or even kind of glued to the earth, grounded here. So much of this practice is just about being in the present moment. You know, the earth, like our body, like any phenomena, is always in the present moment. It's our mind that sometimes can get ahead or fall behind. And when that happens, we lose touch oftentimes with the present moment, the only moment that really exists. And so anytime we can connect to our bodies, connect to the earth, we can reestablish that moment of present awareness, present moment awareness. And it's a good thing just at any time, not just during formal sitting. But here's when we practice. So maybe we do a body scan. We could do a quick body scan. Feeling whatever sensations are present in the body. Maybe starting with our feet, feeling our feet, touching the floor, touching other body parts, touching the zabuton, and moving up the legs, the knees, the thighs, the sit bones, where our tush touches the cush, and up into the trunk of our body, stomach, the chest, the lower back, the upper back. Might notice movement there from the breathing. And feeling the hands. Again, probably points of contact. The hands may be touching knees, thighs, or each other, depending on your posture. Moving up the arms, shoulders, the neck, the head. Maybe in the head, we feel our jaw, maybe give it a little wiggle. If it's tight, just try to let it go. Release any tightness. Feeling the face. And then with your awareness, expanding it to include your whole posture, your whole body. And so your posture or any body part you choose makes a very good anchor, a very good home base, you might say, for the attention, for the mind's attention. And so we can just feel the body with our attention, just experience being embodied, feeling the body. And then when the mind drifts away, which it will, when we notice that, we then bring the attention back to the body. Feeling the body until again the mind drifts away. Again and again. It's not important how many times we need to return, just so long as we return. Or we can use the breath as an anchor. It's a little more precise, a little more narrow. For those of you who might be a little sleepy, I understand, for instance, in Madrid, it's a little warm, so maybe there's a little sueño, a little sleep. The breath is probably better than the body as an anchor. And then with the breath, you can choose further. Where would you like to focus on the breath? Or how would you like to focus on the breath? Do you want to follow the breath, chase the breath in its journey? Or would you like to just pick a spot and watch it there, like at the tip of the nose, or in the nostrils, or in the chest, or in the belly? If you're feeling a little anxious, then the belly is often a good place to be, so you can also experience any anxiety and send a message to the nervous system that everything is okay. If you're especially sleepy, maybe the tip of the nose is good. Makes you concentrate a little harder, generate a little energy. And if the body is just too uncomfortable for you today, the breath as well, you could use as an anchor hearing sounds. If the AC is on in Saladana, for instance, you could just let that be the object of your attention. It's a very receptive type of meditation, can be quite relaxing. And a few tricks you could use to try to establish this mind-body connection, awareness, is you could just remind yourself to just be. Don't do anything, just be. Be a posture, be a meditator, be a human being, whatever. Just be and don't do. I find that helpful sometimes to calm the mind and just be. It's a little more of an open awareness. You're not necessarily fixed on the body or the breath or sounds, but more just being, sitting. And you can also use labels if you like labels, tracking your experience, in, out for the breath, sensing for the body, hearing for sounds. So whatever works for you, pick one, give it a try. I'll be quiet. I'm also going to put it on mute just because it's very loud, at least it seems loud to me in my room. So I will mute it but I'll come back with a few reminders during the meditation. If you are experiencing lots of thought, very stubborn thought, you might explore into the body what might be feeding or contributing to the thought. So for instance, if there's some tension in the body or some anxiety in the body or even some excitement in the body, it doesn't have to be negative. It can even be like a positive feeling. The mind will often react to this with thinking. So you can just feel into the body, feel whatever that is. And while you're doing that, you'll like digest that energy, dissolve that energy, which might calm the mind down. And in addition, you're not going to be thinking during that moment. So you might get a little period of calm that way that might be able to extend. And again, this isn't just about having periods of calm, but sometimes it can be helpful to establish a little bit of tranquility in the mind and the body, to observe the mind, experience the body. So hopefully the mind is a little less distracted, a little more centered, maybe calm. And if you're willing, I invite you to open up your awareness, open up the awareness to take in whatever calls the mind, whatever draws the mind's attention. So maybe right now it's sounds, the sound of my voice. And so you just let sound be the anchor. Or you could say hearing be the anchor. And then maybe if there's a body sensation that's very strong, calling the attention, calling you, then let that be your anchor. And just feel it, experience it, notice it. And meanwhile, we're viewing this process of phenomena coming and going through the awareness of its impermanence, of its transitory nature. So we see things come, they call the mind goes to them, we allow the attention to rest there until something else calls the attention. And if nothing is very strong or nothing is stronger than the breath, for instance, then we just stay with the breath. And maybe thoughts come and they're compelling, and we go to the thoughts until something else calls us. Just being with whatever phenomena arises, whatever is present, and then noticing how it goes and is replaced by something else. All in the flow of life. So no matter where your mind has been or how the meditation has gone for you, let's return to the body, bringing the awareness back into the body, maybe noticing any new sensations. Maybe there's some stronger physical sensations in the legs, the knees, the buttocks. Just feel that. Bringing back that embodied awareness. And then bringing your attention to your heart center, to the chest area, feeling that area. And then maybe offering yourself a kind thank you. Thank you for your practice, the goodness of your practice, the steadiness of your practice. Those of you who've been coming Sunday after Sunday for many months, years even. Just thanking yourself for that. And reminding yourself that this is a practice that isn't only for me and mine, and it's not a solitary practice, although it can seem like that, but it's one that extends out goodwill to all beings. And we can just imagine radiating that out, including everybody here today in this Sangha on Zoom or in Saladana or YouTube, and then beyond to all beings, all life, all life. And just being aware these last couple seconds, hearing the bell and whatever arises in the mind or the body. Thank you all very much. Welcome to those who joined after the meditation started. I see Nacho, Lara, welcome. I noticed, Lara, you have some company, it looks like. I think I saw a puppy dog go by and maybe a kitty cat and maybe a fly or something too, I think. Nice.
Had some company today, yeah. Sorry about that.
All right. I guess it's warm kind of everywhere. Italy, Spain, and here in New York, it's also quite warm.
Yeah.
That was nice. It's interesting. There's a person on a loudspeaker just below me talking to the crowd. So for those of you who came on a little bit later, I showed a picture of what's downstairs, but the Pride Festival is just around this block where this building is, this hotel. And so there's hundreds, if not thousands of people in the street. New York is officially open. And yeah, this whole section from about 14th Street, this is the lower part of Manhattan. Manhattan is a long, skinny island. And this is the lower part of it. But from 14th all the way to Houston Street, I think, so you're looking at about 20 blocks that way, and I don't know how many this way, but several square kilometers of just festival. I mean, it's ready for the parade, and It's quite nice. As I showed the others, but I'll show you the guys that just came. So I'm staying in this fancy hotel, but apparently they're very gay friendly. So, World of Hyatt. And they even said they have a little booth out front, and they're like, "Yeah, we are pro-gay." Okay. Anyways, it's nice to see life kind of quasi back to normal too. Some people still wearing masks here, but I would say the majority of the people are not wearing masks. A lot of people like me, they kind of have them sort of ready to go, right? Ready to, because you still got to wear them in the stores. Anyways, what I thought I would do is just continue drawing on the teachings from Martin Allward, who of course drew upon them from Buddhadasa, from Christopher Titmuss, and others. And of course I think in both Christopher Titmuss's case and Buddhadasa from Thailand, they're both kind of self-taught teachers who went straight to the suttas and read the teachings straight from the original texts. But just great wisdom. And then I've been reading poco a poco, but I just love it. It's almost like one paragraph. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see that, but this is a Spanish version, Mente Zen, Mente de Principiante, Beginner's Mind, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, which is a very famous book, especially in the United States, because this Zen master, Suzuki Roshi, founded the San Francisco, there you go, yes, very good. Yeah. He founded the San Francisco Zen Center, which is on Page Street. And, I lived in San Francisco from 1980 to 2015. And when I first arrived there, I would see this beautiful building. And I remember thinking, there's something inside there that I could use, right? They know something in there, I bet, that I could really benefit from. And they also had a bakery in a neighborhood I lived in called Tassajara Bakery. And that was one of my favorite coffee houses, bakeries. I'd go there and have my coffee and write or read or whatever. And then he also established a couple monasteries outside of San Francisco. So not only a wonderful teacher and a very authentic kind of personality, but also, kind of a business person, where he established these centers that are still there. Tassajara Bakery's gone, but the Tassajara Monastery in Big Sur is still there, despite many fires and floods and challenges. And then Green Gulch in Marin County is also still there. But just a wonderful teacher. And what I love when, like the Japanese Zen perspective, or the Chinese Chen perspective, and the Southeast Asian Theravadan perspective, which is mostly what I've learned from Joseph Goldstein and others, or like the Tibetan perspectives, when they all kind of converge and say sort of the same thing, it really reassures me. Right? And then you can even add, the Vedanta non-dualist perspective, which is more of a Hindu philosophy, but yet it kind of comes around to the same thing. And that really gives me a lot of reassurance, a lot of faith, a lot of confidence that this is the right path. And when it comes to meditation, when it comes to, like, if there is a goal, and it isn't really like there is a goal, but let's just say, for instance, if there is a goal, the goal is to not have a goal. And the goal is to just be. And the goal is to be with whatever. And to recognize that, yes, they are all the same, and they're different. They're both. And so we don't really need to get too involved into whether they're, it's all one unidad or whether we have Varyadath. We have both. We're united and we're different. And both are true, right? And so in the Zen tradition by Suzuki Roshi, they draw on much from a teacher, Dogen, who, and Carlos might know the answer to this, but I think he might be from like the 9th century or the 60th. I don't know. He's a while ago, right? But he's considered almost to the level of the Buddha, right? His enlightenment was also very young, 29 years old, younger, I think, than the Buddha's. And he's really held in high esteem in this tradition. And one of the things he talks about, and I'm translating this because this book is in Spanish, but how it is our nature, kind of our tendency, probably is a better word. It is our tendency, for instance, to see the flowers, right? The flowers are blooming, they're fragrant and so forth, and to ignore the weeds. So I guess weeds in Spanish are malas hierbas, no? Malas hierbas are weeds. So we love the flores, and then we don't pay attention to the malas hierbas. But in a Buddhist perspective, they're the same. There isn't this evaluation of what's good or what's bad or what's true or what's not true. It's all true. And it's also not true. It's also an illusion, and it's also true. And to kind of just sit in that and this was really what came at the end of my retreat. And also right now I've been working with a non-dualist. Well, he's a Tibetan Tantra non-dualist teacher. And he goes way back to the 60s and 70s with Ram Dass and many of these Americans and British who went to India and worked with Goenka when Goenka had like one class, and they sat with Goenka and they had this teacher named Karoli Baba and so forth. And what he talks about and what Martin talks about and what Suzuki Roshi is talking about is freedom. Or the way Martin put it, he called it freeness. I thought that was an interesting example of how English it can be so flexible sometimes. But it can be freedom or freeness. In Spanish, it's probably libertad, both ways. And it's freedom in the sense of no apego, right? No clinging. Where we don't cling, we don't grasp, we don't hold on to anything. We don't hold on to our identity. We don't hold on to what we want or don't want. We don't hold on to whether we only want flowers and we don't want weeds. We're free of this grasping, and that it doesn't matter what you are doing. Like, for instance, just to give you an example of Martin, he, much like it sounds like Suzuki Roshi, is very entrepreneurial. Okay, not only is he a lifelong meditation teacher and practitioner all his adult life, but he owns a meditation center. He owns this business that is called Sangha Live that does an online meditation every Sunday with great teachers. And, I don't know why you guys still come to me. You could go to his. No, I'm kidding. His is a little bit earlier at 7. He's written books. He also has a training, which I took. That's how I found out about him. And I wondered, I asked him once, I said, how can you do all these things and still have some equanimity in your life, some equanimidad, some peace, some calm? And he just said, you don't cling, right? It's like we talked about last week, where you're living in the flow of life, just going with the flow. We still do stuff. I even saw this from a non-dualist teacher on YouTube, which during COVID, I've watched a lifetime of YouTube videos. And I've watched quite a few of these non-dualists and Buddhist teachers and stuff. And this guy was talking about how even though somebody might be enlightened, literally enlightened, they still exist in name and form. They still go through the normal steps of life. This part doesn't change, but the clinging that the ego does, for instance, that disappears. And this is freedom. You know, freedom is when we're not reactive because we're not trying to defend anything. We're not trying to get anything. We're not trying to change anything. You know, we're living with things tal como son, how things are. And due to causes and conditions, it doesn't mean that we just are vegetables, you know, and we sit on our couch and we do nothing. We're still going to do stuff. You know, like around the gay pride, you know, the gay movement really began when I was a young adult. I mean, you know, it's been going on longer than that, but I mean, it really took hold. We had the first gay pride parade, San Francisco and so forth in, I think, the late 70s, early 80s. And this has been a fight, you know, it's been a struggle. This has been something that people had to take action in order to get to where we are today. And so it doesn't mean we don't pursue justice. We don't pursue equality. We don't pursue helping keep our climate, you know, at a livable level. You know, we don't pursue racial justice. All this stuff we do, but we don't cling to it. We don't get fixated on the result. Instead, we're more in the process. We're in the present moment, doing what we need to do. And so this is freedom. My teacher, Ramdev, he called it freedom. Martin Allward called it freeness. I looked at both just to make sure. Libertad in Spanish, you know, works beautifully for both. And by practicing, right, doing what we do on Sundays, and hopefully we do on a daily basis as much as possible, we generate well-being, a sense of well-being, a sense of bienestar, right? And when the body and the mind, the nervous system, the chitta in Pali, when it starts to have a sense of well-being and is less worried, is less defensive, is less preoccupied by other things, then naturally, without us having to do anything, the heart starts to open. The heart starts to open and include all beings, all things, all life. I really like this, you know, in our metta, for instance, at the end of our usual sessions, we talk about extending goodwill to all beings. And Martin, he would do it all life. And I really like that because, you know, maybe it's debatable, for instance, whether trees are beings. Some cultures think they're tree beings, plant beings, whatever. And, you know, I think we're finding out they have a lot more intelligence than we gave them credit for. We're just extending it out to all life. And who knows, maybe our planet is also a living thing. And so with this feeling of goodwill that we can generate with our practice and by being ethical in life, right, following the Eightfold Path, the heart starts to open. And this is something that we can really feel, you know, where we like love everybody and everything, right? Like, you know, I was on this retreat for 2 weeks, and for me, it often will come after retreat where there'll be a period of time, sometimes equal to the retreat, where my heart just feels so open. And today I was having coffee at this one place not far away. And, a sparrow, a little bird, came up and was looking for some food. And it just felt so natural to like give it some food, and to feel good about it, to be generous, to give it something to eat. And then a homeless guy, African fella, missing his teeth, he comes up next to me and he wants some money. And, just without even questioning it, I just gave him some money and I asked him, how old he was and what he was going to do with his money. And, just felt great. It just felt great. And it was like, I didn't really see the difference too much between the bird and the dude. They're all good. They're all beings. They're all part of life. And I'm not saying, I'm some enlightened being, because I'm a hell of a long ways from that. But I do notice this when I get off retreat. It's unavoidable, where I just feel great. My heart is open. I feel very loving, very connected to all things. And I think a very good argument can be made that this really is our natural state. That we human beings really are, and maybe all beings, naturally open. Our heart is naturally open. But what happens is we get worried about life, or we get caught up in our beliefs, or, stuff happens, shit happens, as they say. And this stuff gets in between us, you might say, our true nature, our divine nature, and our heart. It's like a barrier, an obstaculo gets in there. And when we go on retreat, where we have more time to let go of our thinking mind, let go of our worries, let go of our planning, stuff like that, it feels safe enough and starts to open up again. And we talked last week a little bit, and I'll quickly just show this list again. Let's see if I go here. Yeah. So hopefully you can see liberative, dependent, arising. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about this last week, and we were kind of focusing on 9 and 10, disenchantment and dispassion. And these, when I first saw those words, I'm kind of like, disenchantment, I like being enchanted, right? I don't want to let that go. Or dispassion, I like being passionate about things. I don't want to let that go. But what I've found over the years is that as a result of practice, these things do kind of naturally occur. But what they're really saying is that we start to see things more like they really are. So the disenchantment is we stop being enchanted, which is a form of delusion, which is a form of illusion, right? It's putting our dreams on top of something and becoming enchanted. And these are the fairy tales that we learned as children, especially maybe young girls, that some prince was going to come and save them and kiss them, and then Sleeping Beauty is going to wake up or whatever. This is all enchantment, right? Which is baloney. I mean, it's not real. It's just a dream. It's just a fantasy. That's probably the better word. It's just a fantasy. And so with this practice, these 12 steps are the natural progression of the path. And with the preceding one, knowledge and vision, we start to see things more clearly. And then we stop being enchanted by these things that are not real, that are not permanent, that don't have any lasting happiness to them. And same with dispassion. Now, that doesn't mean we don't care. It's not saying that at all. We do care. We still care. It's a natural expression of the heart. But we're not so gripped, right? I mean, to be really passionate about something can be exhausting, right? I mean, you're just so, because, in many ways, passionate and obsessed are the same thing, right? Somebody who's really passionate about football or about their job or whatever, I mean, they're obsessed. And as somebody who has spent many decades obsessed about one thing or another, it's exhausting. And it gets in between the higher self and the heart. And once those let go, then we have emancipation. Well, that's freedom, right? That's freedom. That's exactly what that is. Let's see, I made a few notes. Yeah, there's a couple more things. With this corazón abierto, this open heart, at least this is the way I experience it, and many other people I've heard from and so forth, is there just is this kind of natural awareness of the interconnected nature of all things. This unity that we were talking about, this oneness. And yet, at the same time, there's an awareness of the variety, of the beauty of our differences. One thing I love about New York is how diverse it is in terms of the people. You have people of all walks of life on almost every block. It isn't like in this neighborhood, you just have this people, in that neighborhood, something else. It's almost like the whole rainbow of different types of people can be found in almost any given manzana, any given block. And I love that about New York. There's African people, there's Asian people, there's European people, and there's every kind of dog, much like Madrid, the New Yorkers love their dogs, and there's big dogs, little dogs, different colored dogs. There's just a lot of variety. And at the same time, we notice that they're no different than me, including the dogs, really. We're all just beings being. I like that. We're all just beings being. Just being whatever we are, being a dog, being a human. And partly this whole thing might be a bit of a pitch to go to a retreat, right? You want to do a retreat, especially if you can get one in at least 5 days, 6 days. I know Carlos said that in August, Jerome Limaret and a Thai forest tradition monk will be doing, I believe, a 6-day, right, Carlos? Is that a 6-day in August?
I believe so, 6 or 7 days, yeah.
6 or 7 days. That's a good retreat, that's right. Oh, it looks like Nacho's going. It's right in the Comunidad de Madrid, a little bit north. I went 1 year. It's a little hot, but you get great teachings and nice air conditioning in the meditation studio.
Salamanca.
Oh, is it in Salamanca this year? Oh, that's different. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, it's in Salamanca, not far. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I mean, if you're not doing anything in August, which a lot of times we aren't, right? We take August off, then I highly recommend it. Ignacio is saying it's a little village close to Salamanca. Nacho, do you know whether there's any limit to the number of people?
Yes, they always have a limit for the number of people. And the last times that I tried to do a retreat with them, they were full if they were not canceled because of COVID. So if anyone is interested, I would recommend it to make the reservation soon.
Okay, all right. You guys heard that. But I might do it myself if I get everything organized and get back in time.
So you can always try to put yourself into the retreat, and I think that it was until the 15th of August, maybe, Carlos, or something like that, to say that you can go without losing your money.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then this is a good segue to a couple of the things that Suzuki Roshi said, quoting Dogen. He says, the practice is conocerte a ti mismo. getting to know ourselves, right? The practice of meditation, Zen, is getting to know ourselves, which is getting to know all things. You know, again, this concept of there's no separateness, there's no difference between us and a los demás and everything. The sparrows, the dogs, the trees, you know, we are all at a certain level, we're all one. So when we really get to know ourselves, we are in effect getting to know life. We're getting to know all things. And when he said, and to study Buddhism is to study ourselves. And so, you know, if we confine it to just an hour and a half on a Sunday afternoon, you know, we're going to get to know ourselves a little bit. I'm very sure that during that 30-minute meditation, you know, lots of stuff came up. And I imagine even listening to me, there's stuff that's coming up, right? And we get to know ourselves, we get to know our thoughts, we get to know our mind. And I'm speaking now mainly to those who haven't done a retreat. But if you extend that out now for like 6 days, where now you've meditated, you know, maybe 8 times in a day, and you've also done some walking meditation, and you've gotten up a little bit earlier than you're used to, and you're eating food that you're not totally used to, you know, this is going to create conditions, and that's what a retreat is all about. It's about creating conditions for you to get to know yourself better. Right? And getting to know how life is better, which is getting to know ourselves. So I guess the last thing I'll say, and this is coming again straight from Suzuki Roshi, it's no podemos emphasis in nada. So, and this is interesting for me because I was raised, and still it is part of my tendencies, to believe that I had to have a goal. I had to be working towards something. You know, it's like if you don't have a goal, you're a loser. You're a couch potato. And this teaching of not putting emphasis on anything is a relearning for me. This is like relearning what I learned as a child and that became part of my nature, you know, is to learn to just be rather than do, and to just be right in this moment rather than always thinking about tomorrow when I'm supposedly going to reach that goal, and then theoretically I'm going to be happier, or, you know, something marvelous is going to happen when I reach that goal. And, you know, it's funny. Sometimes I think I talk way too much about myself, but I don't really have a better example of how not to do things than me. So I just bring them up. Or progress. I mean, you know, I'll give myself a little bit of credit. Also progress. But so right now, I sit here in New York City. I have 4 nights left of reservations and places to stay. And then I don't have anything after that. I don't have a hotel. I don't have a flight. I don't have a plan. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I mentioned, and, you know, and it was originally, it was 5, 6, it was 11. It was originally 11 nights. So it's been shrinking because time is going by, right? And I mentioned it to my mentor. I mentioned it to a couple of people. And these people have all kind of said, great. It's like freedom. It's like, you're lucky. You know, how awesome. And as I get closer to that date of homelessness or of, you know, of nada, I'm really beginning to see that is exactly what they say. It's just a certain amount of freedom. And yes, it bumps up against our traditional teachings and our beliefs. And you know, especially in Western culture, where we're taught, you know, you need to achieve, lograr, right? We need to achieve something always, whether it's just getting out of, you know, school and then going to maybe university, and then, you know, you get your bachelor's, you know, then you got to get a master's, and then you got to get a job, and you got to get a better job, and you got to get a partner, and you got to get a house, and you know, it's like endless. Got to get, right? Tenemos que conseguir algo. That's way down the road. And this teaching, this philosophy, this point of view is almost 180 degrees the opposite of that. No, it's already here. Everything we ever wanted is right here, right now, in this moment. And anytime we want to open our heart and open our mind to it, it's there. And yeah, it's that disenchantment. You know, I was so enchanted and so confused, really, in believing that if I just got this. Now, I will say this, getting to Europe and living in Madrid has brought me a lot of happiness. And I thought it would. And so maybe sometimes they're kind of aligned, and, you know, things do happen on the exterior world that, whether they're meant to be or not, or whether there was any choice in these matters, I don't know. And so we're good. Those are the Floridas, right? Those are the flowers. And those are great too. And we don't want to ignore the weeds. We don't want to just focus on the flowers, because sometimes there are weeds as well. And that's really what I think it's teaching us, not to cling to those flores, not to cling to the stuff that is good and try to push away that's bad, because that causes suffering, but to embrace it all. Anyways, okay, I think I touched on everything I wanted to. We have a couple minutes. Is there anybody who would like to say something, like to share, reflect?
So Jim, I posted the link to the retreat, but it says it's full.
Oh no.
Well, maybe somebody will still drop out, you know, but for now it's full.
Oh dear. Yeah, I have to say that, you know, some of us have been talking about this, and there are others who are talking about this, that Spain is underserved when it comes to long-term residential retreats. There just aren't enough. And of course, COVID has contributed to that. But, you know, I will say, for those of you who, you know, can afford a little more, you can go to France. I can't believe how much more expensive France is than Spain. Oh my God. I spent a couple of days in Lyon and a couple of days in Paris, and the prices were at least double what they are in Madrid. It was astounding. Maybe Paris might be 3 times more. But anyways, the place where I went, Moulin des Chabs, which is in the southwest part of France, they're open, and they are having retreats on a pretty regular basis. So, and there's a link on my Dhamma Madrid website to the Moulin, and you could check to see what's there. But I'm really sorry to hear that, Carlos, that it's full already. That one place he was at, I can't remember the name, but that meditation hall was huge. It would fit 200 people. So I don't know about this new place. Well, we got to do something about that. Anyone else have any questions or comments, or even would like to reflect on their experience? Has anybody had that experience of just sometimes feeling like, you know, you're all one, interconnected with all beings? Maybe a show of hands. How's that? You don't have to say anything. Okay, Laura, that's good. I can't tell who that is, but one of the masked gentlemen in Saladana also had his hand raised. Very nice. Yeah, and you know, sometimes, most of the time, they're fleeting, right? They come, and then immediately the brain wants to grasp it, that wants to evaluate it, wants it to stay, wants to figure out how did it happen, and of course, then it goes. It's very difficult to think about it and have the experience at the same time. As soon as we start thinking, it's gone. But anyways. Okay, well, why don't we do a little metta meditation? Does that sound all right? I'm going to remute you, Carlos. Okay. So again, finding a comfortable posture. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. So we can have a little bell. I'm going to set this thing for 4 minutes. See if I can time it. So it gives us a minute a group. Okay, so we'll start off with ourself. First, let's drop into our bodies again. Just feel whatever sensation. It's always interesting for me because I do so much blabbing. By the time this comes, there's a lot of sensation in my body. Just feel that. And then we're going to offer well-being, bienestar, metta, and Pali to ourself. A mí mismo. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. So now let's pick somebody you really adore, you love unconditionally, a being, any form of life. It could be a tree, a plant, a pet, a person. Just imagine that being in front of you, and let's offer metta to this being. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now let's try what they call the difficult person. Probably will end up being a person unless you have a really rascally pet. So this is somebody with whom we have maybe a conflict, a little resentment, maybe our feelings are hurt. Maybe somebody said or did something or didn't say or do something according to our wishes. So imagining that person. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. Whoop. Ignore that bell. May you live with ease. Just feel into that. That's like, that's one we can use anytime. Time we have a difficult situation with someone. And now, all beings. May all beings, without exception, be happy. May they be well. May all beings be safe. May they live with ease. And lastly, to conclude today, our Sangha, let's offer up, share, dedicate the merit of our practice, our Buddha nature, the teachings, offer this up to the benefit of all life. May all beings and all life be happy and peaceful. May they be healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, coronavirus, confusion, enchantment. And may all beings find their path, find their point of view, their way of looking that leads to the end of suffering, that leads to their happiness, that leads to libertad, to freedom, to freeness. May all beings, without exception, be free. Thank you all very much for being there. Always a pleasure. And, I think it's been more than 5 years that I've been doing this on Sunday, mostly in Spain, but connected to Spain. And it's one of my longest relationships, to be quite honest. Thank you all for staying there, not leaving. But next week, just because I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be, and it's also an American holiday, Martina will come and lead you all in person, and then within a couple weeks, I got my second jab, by the way, so I'm now vaccinated. Although the rule is, they say it takes 2 weeks for it to really kick in. So it looks like, and I just had it 2 days ago, but now I'll be able to enter Europe again, no problem, without having to take a test or anything. So I'm just going to wait that out and then probably come back. My only question I haven't decided is whether I'll retrace my steps, come back through France, and then come drop down to Spain, or come straight to Spain. I want to finish painting the fachada of Saladana. That's like the only thing I got to do. It's like an hour's worth of work, but for some reason it's not quite done yet. I don't like that, but I'm not attached to it. Anyways, yeah. So Martina next week, and if I can, I will join you guys. We'll see where I am. And yeah, feel free to stay on or unmute yourself for those of you on Zoom or anybody online. Looks like Nacho wants to say something. Nacho, say something.
I wanted to ask you what has happened with the web page, because now it's like you can barely read it because of the picture that is on it.
You didn't like it? I kind of liked it. I put a background in it.
It's impossible to read it. I'm sorry.
Really?
With that background, it's impossible to read anything.
It's in yellow though when you look at it, right? The writing is in yellow.
It's like you can see the photo, and it makes it difficult because there is a photo in the background to read the text. But I don't know. It's my opinion.
I'm trying to kind of play with it, but that was a beautiful photo that Carlos took of the Bandoroja, and then it's got the lamp, the Spanish lamp and the buildings, and it was very emblematic of Madrid. So I really liked it, but I didn't know how to do anything other than what I did. So that's what I did.
Also, I wanted to ask what we are going to finally do on the month of July with meditations for Saladana. If we are going to keep Carlos and the people in Saladana that were the other day in Saladana on Wednesdays said that we could keep practicing in Tuesday, even if Amalasiri and Nagesvara won't be there. And I think that we will be also keeping Wednesdays and Sundays, but I just wanted to make sure that everything is under control so I can put things on the web page and on Meetup if necessary.
Yeah, well, my preference is, yeah, that they continue. I mean, just because people are on holiday, I still think meditation should go on. But it depends. I mean, Carlos, thank you so much for your assistance and so forth. Carlos, will you be going on holiday in August?
No, no plans for August.
Okay, so we could just continue even into August.
Yes, I'm in too.
What, Zeke, what?
I'm in too. I'm going to be here on
Okay.
summer holidays.
Nacho, I just figured we'll just keep right on going without a pause for the meditation.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, thank you all. Enjoy. Carlos, you guys going to go out for a little bite or something? Some supper? Or maybe?
People are up for it, yeah? Why not?
Go. Little Sangha. Well, I miss you guys. Echo de menos. And so I'll hopefully see you, soon. No sooner than a couple weeks, but not much longer than a couple weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Bye. But thanks for coming, Miguel. Gracias a ti.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Safe travel.